Hello everyone, my name is Colin and you're watching ClassyHerps. Alright, now today I'm going to be showing you guys how to build one of these rodent breeding racks like I have here. I have 3 of them. And I'm going to be doing this because I remember when I tried to build mine, I had to look around the internet and there weren't many places that actually gave step-by-step instructions on how to make this. And so I just thought it would be really helpful for anybody who's trying to make one, because I just kind of had to look at other people's pictures of solid, complete ones and then just kind of put together, and it took a while. So today I'm going to give you guys instructions on how to actually put this together and cut everything out and get it all done. So what you see there on the floor is pretty much everything you're going to need to make this entire rack. Now, not like quantity wise, but this is the materials you're going to need. You're going to need wood. I am going to use 2x4s, and we'll be doing more with those later. You're going to need screws and screwdriver, tape measure. You're going to need some kind of a saw. You can probably get your boards cut at where you bought your boards, but it's cheaper, and I already have a table saw, a bunch of saw stuff, so I just do it myself, and I kind of like doing that. You're going to need tubs, obviously, to keep your rodents in. You're not going to do anything with those, just got to buy them. And you're going to need screen. Now, screen here is kind of depends on what you're going to be doing with your rack. Now, if you're going to be having rats or just adult mice, you can probably go just with this half-inch screen right here. But if you're going to be raising mice babies, you're going to definitely want to go with 1/4-inch screen. Now, the difference obviously is in the size of the holes. So this one is the half-inch. It's a half-inch squares, and then this one is the 1/4-inch. So 0.25 of an inch for squares. And so this one is half the size of this one. Now, rats do perfect in this half-inch there. You're going to want to use that for rats, any kind of rats. Now, if you're just keeping adult mice, you can use half-inch. But if you're raising baby mice, you definitely want to go with the 1/4-inch, because mice at about 2-3 weeks old, they are still tiny enough that they can squeeze through half-inch, and they definitely will, because they're active and they just seem like little devils sometimes. You know that if you have any experience with baby mice. So yeah, they'll get out. I learned that from experience. They will climb out and they will get out, and yeah, I've lost quite a few mice because I tried that with my mice, and I switched over to that pretty quickly. So it just kind of depends on what you're building it for. So alright, now the first thing we're going to do is make the top screen part, the square that the feed goes on, because that's like the main thing you need to do first. And so what we're going to do is, because we don't need a whole 2x4 to make the outside of that holds the screen together, so we're going to take our 2x4s to save on material. And just to make this thing a little bit more slimmer, we can take these and cut them in half. So they're half of a 2x4. So yeah, here we go. Alright, now what we have is a bunch of 2x4s on right here, what a normal one looks like, and those are all I'm cut in half. Now that's all the wood we're going to need to make, this is going to be a 5-tub rack, which is taller than, yeah, it's pretty much the same height as me, so, and I'm about 5'10". This depends on how you space out your tubs, but 5 in one rack is kind of tall, so I don't do any more than that, and that's all the wood I'll need for the top part. Now, how much wood you're going to actually need, because I know you're wondering that, and I can't really tell you. It's kind of a personal preference thing of how tightly or loosely you want your top screen fitting over your tub, and you'll understand what I mean by that in a few steps. Alright, now the next thing is this is what I was talking about, how long to cut your boards here. I made my last one. It's, these long pieces here are 39 inches long, so that's how long I'll have to cut half the boards. And the other half right here, the front way across is not exactly 2 feet. And you see what I mean here by there's 4 pieces of wood, one that runs along here, and the same exact on the other side. There's one that runs along the back, a shorter one, and a shorter one that runs along in the front that attaches on the inside. So that's what I mean by how much wood you're gonna want. Is if you want this more spaced out, it'd take more mesh, but it'd be more room over your tub. And I don't really know why you'd want that, but mine, I had it measured out last time, so I don't have to do it again. But the edge of the tub actually fits right on the inside of this board. Right, now the easiest thing I found to do, instead of actually going through and measuring with your tape measure on each one how long to make it, I just kind of make a stencil for the first originals, and then I just Right now when you have that all stapled down and everything, this is what your finished top thing is going to look like. That's how long our short ones are going to be. They're on a different board. I'll make one for 39. Out here. Make sure your tape measure stays on the end there. And then what we have, we just have our 2 marks. See our marks there? And now I'm just going to go through and cut those. Alright, now you see we have our 2 boards, one longer than the other. Measure them just to be sure again. One is 39 inches, and the other 2 foot, 24 inches. So now we have our 2 stencil boards that we'll be using to make all of our other boards. Because this is going to be a 5-story rack, that means that we're going to need 10 short ones and 10 long ones because there's 2 per level. So now what we're going to do to make the rest of them, we are going to line up the ends, just perfectly lined up. We're going to make a mark right where the other one goes, just like that, on the next board that we're going to cut, just like that. And now we're going to cut that board there. Alright, now you see we have 10 short ones and 10 long ones, so now we can start putting them together. Alright, now this here is kind of the idea, so you guys can kind of start putting this together in your mind, is we have 1 short board running across there, 1 in the front, and 2 along the side. And so we'll screw these together so they're one piece. This is how I got my original measurements, so if you're using like a different kind of tub, you can all do the same steps, except just measure from the edge of the tub to the edge of the tub and like add a little bit of extra room, so because of board thickness. And so yeah, this is what we're going to do. So now we're going to screw these together in the corners, and we're going to have a solid thing to fit around that. Alright, so you can see here I have a few of them laid out, and I have screws. I put 2 screws in each corner so it doesn't swivel or rotate or anything. So now I'm just going to show you how I put those together. So you got your screwdriver, you got your screw, you put it in like that for those who might not know how to work a screwdriver. Now you see here I have them all screwed together, and they're all solid and in one piece, just like this, and they're not falling apart. And so now we're going to move on to my least favorite step of the whole thing. Alright, now what we have to do is actually get the screen onto this so it looks like kind of what we're going for. So we got a big roll of wire mesh here that you can get at pretty much any like hardware store or places like Orscheln's sell these giant rolls. Most places where you're going to buy your wood, a lot of places also sell this screen. Like you can get all this stuff at Home Depot or Lowe's, but because I live an hour away from any of those places, I have to go locally, and so I had to shop around a bit. But so now what I'm doing is rolling this out and trying to line up this side here with the wire, and then this other side over here with the wire. So it's you get the idea. I'm trying to line it up so it fits on here, right? And now I'm going to make a little cut mark. Hopefully you guys can see this, but I'm going to make a little cut mark right here where it comes down to. That's where I want to cut this off, just so I can tell where it's at for later. And then I'll go for the other direction. See, this guy is all lined up here. And I'll make a cut mark here. So I know that's where I want to cut this out. That's the square I want to cut, a rectangle. So now I can pick this up and just see the little mark that I made there. Now I can pick this up, and I just got to cut this all the way down to where the 2 marks meet up, and then we'll move on next step from there. Probably a good idea to wear gloves because the wire can cut you and probably bleed. Alright, so that's the screen there all cut out and everything. You can see it there. And then you just lay it down on your thing that we just made, the wood, all screwed together, line all the edges up, and you just start stapling. You use big metal heavy staples, and just do it every inch or so. You don't want gaps for where anything could possibly get out. Alright, now you see we have a bunch of extra scraps that were too short, or just we didn't need, off the ends of the boards, and we can actually use these instead of throwing them away. What we're going to do with them is make backstops at the end of our rack so we don't push the tub too far and rats get out the back end without us really knowing. So we're just going to cut these down. Right, so these are already cut in half 2x4s, and we need to actually cut them in half again because of the tight space that they're going to be in. You'll see that. That works a little later. Alright, now these don't have to be any certain length or anything, like this way, but because that doesn't really matter as long as it hits somewhere. But it's just, they can't be real thick, and we might actually have to cut these down even more, but we just need 5 of these. Alright, so now we need to get some more 2x4s here, like this, and we're going to start making our runner boards, which are the boards that are going to hold the tub up to this screen here, and obviously they're going to slide along it. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to be making now. We're going to make these out of 2x4s, and these might have to be trimmed down a little bit after this. But they need to be the exact same length, or pretty close to the exact same length as your top screen here. So, if you remember right, those are 39 inches long, and we can probably just line these ends up down here, and then make a little mark down here is where we want to cut our board. And we'll just check that real quick. And yeah, that's 39 inches. So now we need to cut these 2x4s down to there, and we need 2 per level because we need a runner on each side, and so that means that we're going to need 10 runner boards. So that's quite a bit of wood because they're 39 inches long. Alright, so now we have all of our runner boards cut here, and now we're going to be able to start putting everything together. Alright, one last step here before we can actually start putting it all together. We need to get 4 support beams that are going to be going on each corner that are going to hold the whole thing up. And so they need to be pretty big boards because this thing is usually pretty tall. And so then you need to go into your place where we're actually going to be, and you need to measure how tall the ceiling is, or however high you want it to go, and then just kind of cut your boards down for then like a general reference kind of thing, so your boards can fit into your room. Mine are 69 inches, so I need to cut them all down to that. Alright, now actually going into the place where you're going to build this, you're probably going to want to do this because this thing probably won't fit through most doorways, like I know it won't fit through this one. And now you need to have your boards trimmed down just like I did here, just so they're right at ceiling level, so that's all taken care of. And then you're going to start by laying your boards out on the floor. Alright, so the first step of putting this together is done. We just lay these, the back ones down or the front ones down, either way. It's easier to do this laying down because there's so much, nothing's really attached yet. And so we're going to lay it down, and someone's going to have to hold this up, or you can do it by yourself if you're really talented. And make sure that you put the side with the screen attached on the bottom, because we'll need this side up to be able to hold feed like this. See how this is on the upside and the screen is on the bottom side, so you can hold feed in here like that. And so that's just that. And then you're going to want to put 2 screws in right here, 2 screws in on the other side. And that is step 1. Alright, now this next step is kind of complicated, so just be paying attention here. We're going to be putting in these running boards here, like that right there, so the tubs can slide in on them, and the tub will lay on it. They're putting those in down there, and one on this side too. But what I found out is if you just take a straight 2x4 and try to put it on one side, and take another 2x4 and try to put it in on the other side, that's what happens. The 2x4s are just a little too big, and you see it won't fall in there, and it's too tight. What I had to do on the past ones, as you can see here, on one side is a full 2x4. You can see that. I measure it, but I'm not going to. And on the other side, you can kind of see this one has a little bit trimmed off. If you look at them, that one's just a little bit bigger than this one. So we have to take about exactly half of our running boards, and see how this one's short and that one's not short. We have to take about half of our running boards and trim about an inch or so off. Not a whole lot, but a little bit, so they fit. And so that's the next step. Alright, so now you can see here what I mean by we had to take just a little bit off of that. And so this is what it looks like up on the tub here. So we're going to have a 2x4 on this side and kind of a 3/4 of a 2x4 over on this side. And yes, it does kind of put your tub a little off center of the very center of the screen, but it's not enough that it makes any difference. Alright, so now what you're going to do is hold your 2x4 up to here, and you're going to have a tub for this. You can't really not. Well, yeah, it's kind of impossible to do this without a tub that you're going to be using. So you're going to take your 2x4 and set it right up against there, like that, and set your tub inside of it like that. So you're going to have an estimate. And then you're just going to have to give your tub a little bit of room. Don't like slam it up against there like that, because then it'll be so tight and it'll stick. You want to give your tub just like a little bit of room, just kind of like that. So it has a little bit of sliding room, like okay, so this is what I mean right here. Like you see how on this one I've already made, so the tub sits down on this, and there's a little bit of room up there. Not enough that anything can get out, but there is a little bit of room up there, so it slides real nice. It slides really nice and easy. So when you get that, however much room you want to give yourself, then just put 2 screws in over there and do the exact same thing on this side, and then your top shelf is done. Alright, now this next step you're going to have someone help you, because you're going to be screwing your other boards in up at the front end right there, and obviously this end needs to be held up by somebody, so I'm using my little brother here. And you only have to do this for the first screw, because I'll show you what you can do after that. Alright, now that we got that screwed in there, now we need to be able to figure out an easier way than just having someone hold that board while we do the rest of the rack. So what we're going to do is take a piece of scrap board like that, and then just put that there, and we'll put a temporary screw in each end of the boards, and that'll be able to hold that up until we're done. Now we'll just take it out when we get to the end. Alright, now when you get all done putting those in, that's just what that'll look like on both sides there. So now you have your 4 support beams in, and now you can just go through and do the cycle that I showed you on how to put this in. And then also you'll need to screw in those, so on top and bottom levels, just on both things. So you'll have to do a bunch of screwing, and then, we'll go from there. Alright, so the next thing is actually kind of be a personal preference kind of thing. How much space you want between this one and this tub. So between the top of here and the bottom of here, I like to do, on this one I'm doing about 11 to 12 inches, so about a foot from here to here. Now on the first one I did, you can see from there to there, it was almost 2 foot, like it's just short of 2 foot. And I guess because I didn't really know what I was doing. And if you're going to want to be able to see your rodents every day and through the food and everything, you're just going to have it all nice and loose, then you can give yourself as much space in between tubs as you want. But if you're kind of in a bind for space and you want to get the most out of your space, then you can go about as close as you want without them hitting, and still have room to work here. So that's what I'm going to do. There's not much room here, but about a foot from here to here is what I'm going to do on this rack. Alright, now guys, just a tip, when you're putting in a new level, I would start with it laying down and put in the 2 back ones just to secure the thing, and then I'd stand it upright and I put a level on it so it looks good, and because you're going to want everything level, right? So stand it up, and it's easier to make everything level standing up and then put all your screws in while standing. Plus it's a little easier to screw with it standing up. So, yep, make sure it's all level, make sure you have a level and do that, and then just go through and just keep going. Alright, now that we have the entire thing all done at the bottom, I got all 5 levels in on this rack, which is awesome. Kind of pressed for space in the bottom, you see they got kind of close together. But now that we have all of those put together, which only took me probably 2 hours, maybe, not even 2 hours to actually just put it all together. Alright, but now the last step is actually putting in these backstop things right here. As you can see, this right here I put in because if you don't put those in, then your tubs are going to be able to just slide and slide, and you're not going to know when you've come over the back. And if you go too far on accident and not paying attention one day, and you push it out like this, and your rodents can get out. So I thought of a way. I didn't actually read this off anybody's paper. I thought it was my own, but because it was really obvious of a problem to me when I first got my first rack done. So you're gonna take this spare wood that I showed you how to make earlier in the video, and you're gonna put this right here. And I already started a screw right here. And so now what we're gonna do is just screw that down. just like that. And then I will also put one right over here so it doesn't rotate or anything. And I will also put one on this end. And now, if you go through and you push your tub, because that way it'll be the front and this will be the back, you can pull this and it'll stop here, and you know you've hit the back and your front's just right on, and so it all works out pretty nicely. And you'll go through and do that on all the levels too. Alright, so here is the finished product. You see I already have some rats in that tub there, so I really needed this because I'm already expanding. So here's the whole thing finished with the tubs in it. You can buy these tubs from Home Depot or Lowe's, but if you're gonna buy some from one, you need to stick with the same company because their tubs they're the same thing. They're concrete mixing tubs is what they are, so go in and ask for concrete mixing tubs and they will get you what you need. But Home Depot's concrete mixing tubs are a different size, not like a huge difference, but they're just different dimensions than the Lowe's size. And obviously, because these things are so snug so nothing gets out, obviously Lowe's ones wouldn't fit in the one that's made for Home Depot and vice versa. So just kind of stick with one brand. I go with Home Depot, but that's just because I don't even know. But yep, so I got some cool blue rats in here, and yeah, so that right there is how to make one of these racks. Just like these. And this is what a mouse rack would look like. You can see compared to a rat rack, if you go with the smaller tubs, they make two sizes of tubs. They're obviously a smaller tub. I don't know, about maybe half the size or so. But you can see it's a smaller tub here. And this is the 1/4-inch screen compared to 1/2-inch screen. And so that's just what that looks like. You're wanting to use that for mice. Here's some mice right there. So that's cool. Alright, so guys, my name is Colin, and this is ClassyHerps, and subscribe for more useful tutorials, updates on the rodents, and updates on the reptiles, and just, yeah, subscribe, leave a comment on what you guys think, if there's anything you did differently when you built your rack, or if I missed anything, please leave a comment below. And if you just want to discuss some things, then leave a comment below or message me, please. So, that's awesome, and thank you guys for watching. This has been ClassyHerps.